Hi, everybody. I'm Katrina Rasbold, and I am here to talk to you today about honeypots. Honeypots are a spell work that I use a lot in my client work. People seem to really gravitate toward those. They have a pretty intense impact when they're used, but like a lot of magic that has a really sudden and intense impact, it does tend to wane away after a little bit. Now, that's one thing to remember when we're talking about spell work such as this is that all magic, all spell work has an expiration on it. We want to think that we can do something and just have things turn around and that's that. And that's really not how it works. With honeypots in particular, you get a hard, fast push toward the sweetening of a relationship. And over time, the effect of that energy is going to wane down. So you may have to repeat these over time until, for lack of a better term, muscle memory kicks in and you're able to carry on without them. Now, the intention of a honey pot is that it's going to sweeten a relationship. Now, this can be a relationship between you and a romantic partner. It can be a relationship between you and a boss if you want a better relationship with that person, if you just feel like they've kind of got it in for you, or you remind them of somebody that harmed them in the past, so they're not responding positively. It can be a relationship between you and, an in-law that you don't get along with. Any person that you want to just have a sweeter relationship with. It can also work on situations such as, I want to sweeten my relationship with prosperity, or I want to sweeten my relationship with a home that I'm in that just doesn't feel right. Whatever you want to do, sorry about that, I should turn that off. Whatever you want to do to improve your relationship with someone or something, yourself, or with life, you can use a honey pot to do that. Now, I'm going to talk about honey pots, but as I'm talking about this, I want you to remember that the opposite of a honey pot is a vinegar jar. And I don't personally use vinegar jars very often in my work because of the nature of where they tend to go. But a vinegar jar sours a relationship. So it can sour the relationship between two people. It can sour your relationship with an addiction, or it can sour a relationship that for whatever reason you just don't want to continue. To be frank, the most common place where I'm asked to use a vinegar jar to sour a relationship is either because someone's partner has strayed and they want to sour the relationship with the other person, or it can also be a parent who doesn't care for the person that their child is dating or seeing, and they want to sour that relationship. Now, my husband used a vinegar jar very effectively when he was trying to lay off drinking for a little while. He's not an abusive alcoholic or anything like that, but he just didn't like the effect that it had on him, and he wanted to take a break, but he didn't want to sit and think about that he really wanted a glass of wine in the evening. So he used one of his wine bottles to create a vinegar jar to sour that relationship, and it worked very effectively. Again, it's a temporary measure, but it did what he needed it to do. So, as I'm talking about honey pots, I want you to remember that the process for making a honey pot is exactly the same as it is for making a vinegar jar. You're just going to use different elements, and I'll talk about those in this video as well. But right now, let's focus on the honey pots. Now, at the thumbnail for this video, I showed an example of what some honey pots look like. And I've got a few right here, and these are actual ones that I've done for clients. So this is one that the client has used multiple times. Now, if I am making a honey pot for someone and I sense that we're going to do this in a series, we're going to have several honey pots that happen over time, what I do is I retain the original honey pot and continue to burn on top of that so that it's building on the energy of what we did before. I don't make a new honey pot every time somebody wants to do honey pot work. So this particular one has been in use for quite some time. So this is what a honey pot looks like when it's done burning. And so what I do is inside the jar, and the type of jar that I use for honey pot is usually just a little half pint sort of canning jar. that nothing special's been done to it. It's just a little canning jar that you use for jellies or jams. You don't need a big one, just this one's fine. And so what I do is in here I put um, some herbs that are conducive to sweetening or love. I might use roses or lavender, some jasmine, something that's a really nice sweet herb or that is conducive to love. And I'll put stones in here. This could have red stones for passion, pink stones for self-love and for more romantic love. It can have blue stones for truth and honesty and communication. It might have green stones to get you grounded in a relationship. So it's all got to do with what you want to have happen in that relationship. Yellow or orange stones are great for joy, happiness, a healthy relationships. Purple for the highest and the best soul connection. Whatever you want to put in there, just go online, research what different little stones do. And I tell you, when you're looking at stones and you're looking at herbs and you're looking at color magic, you're not going to get wrong information on the internet usually. You're going to be pretty safe looking for that. So find the little stones that you want to put in here. I also will sometimes put quartz in there to regulate the energy smoothly and also for clarity of vision. And you got to remember that you got two people going into the honey pot, or you and a situation, or two people. So we're always polarity. We're looking at two different circumstances we're trying to draw together and sweeten. So you're going to put one stone for each person or each situation. And so you're going to usually have two of each stone that goes in here. And you can also put different charms in here. I have little heart charms that I'll put in here. Again, one for each person. You might, if this is somebody that you're wanting a long-term relationship with, put little charms that indicate a baby. If they want to have children together, one each. You might want to put wedding rings that are interlocked, little, just cheap ones, token ones. They don't have to be actual wedding rings in here if you want a commitment. I can also put different oils in here, like Come to Me oil or happiness oil, oils that engender a close, loving relationship. So far we've got stones, we got herbs, we got oil, and we've got different tokens that you can put in there. You can also put body parts in there, not arms and legs, of course, but we're talking about fingernails or hair. Sometimes body liquids can go in there. But here's the thing. Again, you're looking for balance between the two. So if I was doing a relationship honey pot for two people, I wouldn't put the fingernails of one person without having the fingernails of the other person in there. You got to have that balance going on in there. And this is the most interesting thing. You wouldn't believe this. I mean, maybe you would, but I have a lot of people that come to me, particularly women, who will bring me the body leavings of the person that they want to involve. And these body leavings are usually of an intimate nature. And, that's fine. They're effective, but I also have to have the body leavings of the other person. So it's got to do with how intense you want to get with this. So that can go in there. And the one thing that I put in here every time is a piece of paper, little slender strip of paper. And on it, I write what exactly I'm trying to draw together. So this person and this person, or this person and this job, or this position, whatever they're wanting to bring together, I put on one piece of paper, and I put the name plus this or and this to join them together. And then I fold them up really tight, and I put that paper in here as well. And then once I do that, I get honey, and it can be any kind of honey. We don't need special, clover extracted honey, or no fancy honey necessarily. Honey is honey. I mean, the jar doesn't care. So then I pour honey over the whole thing. I usually try to get it around half full, and so that it completely covers everything that's in there. And then I turn it a few times to completely cover what all's in there. Once I've done that, I'm ready to burn. So if it's a brand new jar like this and it's got all the ingredients in there, I'm going to write the name on top of what I'm trying to draw together. For myself, this is also good reference for me, so I know whose honeypot is whose, since I'm going to save these. But for you, it's also a way to further identify, this is who I'm working on. This is what I want to have happen. I prefer these little candles right here. They're just little red votives. You can use a taper candle if you want to. I like the votives for the point of gravity so that they're balanced on there and not trying to stand up like this. Beeswax candles are also good, but you need a substantial candle. Don't use a little birthday candle on a honey pot. We need a votive, or we need a taper, or we need a beeswax candle. And you're just going to set it on top of there over the names, light it up, spend some time with it, just cupping your hands to the sides of it and focusing on the sweetness of that relationship and how that relationship can be invigorated and empowered to be a loving, healthy relationship. And once you've invested that into that honey pot, you just let it burn straight down. You do not usually put out a honey pot and burn it later. Let it burn all the way down. That is the spell, is getting that energy down into that honey and out into the world so that it's sweetened. Now, I'm going to bookmark that, and we're going to go into the reading of the honey pot in just a little bit. But if you were doing a vinegar jar, you're going to use a black candle instead of a red one. You're going to put the person's names in there, but you're going to tear it in half and fold them separately and put them in. You're going to put in disruptive stones that create black to pull negativity. You might use some pieces of broken glass in there. You can use gopher dust or crushed red peppers, or things that are going to be antagonistic. And then you're going to pour vinegar over it rather than the honey. And about the same way, about halfway full, rock it a couple of times so that everything gets covered. Some people put their own urine in there to say, piss on you, to further agitate the situation, and then they burn the black candle on top. Again, I don't do this type of work, but I know how it's done. So that's how you would do the vinegar jar. You do it the same way, but you use antagonistic products rather than sweetening products. So you burn it all down. Now, what I like to burn it on, and I don't have one handy right here where I'll show you, is there are cast iron skillets that are about this big. Little bitty things. I get them at thrift stores for a few dollars, and I set these on top of that to create a burn safe situation with my honey pots. So setting that aside, when you read a honey pot, we're looking for good retention on top. So when we're seeing a lot of wax that's staying on top of the jar, we know that person's attention is on the client, in my case. So if it's you and another person, you know that they're dedicated to you and they're invested in you if there's a lot of wax on top. Now, that being the case, so look at that. That's a good one. This is another one that happened. I'm going to cover the names for confidentiality. This isn't looking good. Bless their hearts. All of the wax just ran straight off the jar, was almost repelled by the jar, and went out into the skillet, the cast iron skillet. That's why we have something protective underneath, because we're going to have wax overflow that happens. So this person is not receptive to the energy of the honey pot. They're not interested. And it could be, in this case, the person that asked for the honey pot barely knew the other person. They were just attracted to them and wanted to get to know them better. They wanted that person to be receptive to asking them out to dinner or to lunch or to engage them in some way. Because we got a complete rejection here, it probably means that person's in a relationship, or they're not interested in the gender that the person doing the honey pot is. There was just a complete no. This isn't going to happen. And that can save my client a lot of embarrassment or wasted energy in going after somebody who is just not there. They're just not interested. This is a no-go right here. Here's another one. Again, I'm going to put my finger over the name. This one's not bad. This was an initial one. We got a lot of wax retention on top. And I want to show you that we've got 3 channels going down from the wax that are very distinct. that tells me that whoever they're trying to affect has 3 different things that's distracting them from this relationship. Now, that doesn't mean they're seeing 3 other people. It could mean that they have work, kids, and a really aggressive hobby. They have other things they're doing. That doesn't mean they're not interested. We still have good retention on top, but they have other things pulling their attention away from that relationship. Let's look at another one. Here's this one. So this one's not too bad. We got some distraction, a little bit going on there, but we have a lot of retention on top. So that's what we're looking for. And you can also sometimes look at the pattern that the wax makes when it drops down onto your protective surface, in my case, the little cast iron skillet. And sometimes you'll see little hearts in there. And that means, I really like this person. I care about them, but I'm involved with other stuff. But I could be convinced to pay greater attention to them. Sometimes in that case, you've got a person that the other person's so shy, they don't even recognize that that person's interested. So they haven't pulled them into the idea that they're an option. And so you're saying, yeah, I kind of like that person, but I don't think they're interested in me. And once that honeypot kind of connects, it gives them that idea of, hey, maybe this person is interested, and can pull them a little bit closer. Here's another one. This is our last example. Again, we've got some distraction points here, but we've got good connection and retention up on top. So again, what I do is I save the honeypot. And when somebody wants another honeypot, I'm just going to nestle that candle right on there and burn it on top and continue that energy later on. So that is how I use honeypots, and that's how I was taught to do them through the folk magic I was trained in. I hope that's helpful to you to sweeten your relationships, because we all deserve to have very sweet relationships. Now, one point to make: if you're attempting to sweeten your relationship with somebody who is abusive, you may not get really great results. And people say, well, why would you want to sweeten your relationship with somebody that's abusive? And the reason is because you feel trapped in that relationship and you just want things to be nicer. So you might get a day or two of better treatment and more kindness. However, when you have routine abuse going on, that is a chronic situation. That is a learned behavior that has been embedded in your relationship. It's usually not going to shift the abuse long term. It might give you a little bit of reprieve. So in an abusive relationship specifically, I will sometimes use the honeypot to engender kindness for a day or two in this relationship, so that person can leave without a lot of drama. So that's another interest in the honeypot that can be really successful. So that's the video I have for you on honeypots. I hope that's helpful for you. It is a really useful way to send positive, loving energy into a relationship to see how it can progress. So I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you on another video. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.